What's going on, people? Welcome to Drama Free Gaming. This is End Time, and it is what it says, and it says what it is. Of course, we need to throw the tagline in there. We're in episode 79 here, and yeah, I'm coming on at an earlier time today. It is July 4th, and so I'm gonna be getting ready here to chow down in a little whiles, and maybe a little later this evening, catch a couple of fireworks, have some family over, and just chill out, enjoy the day. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Keep it safe, keep it drama free, of course. Enjoy your time. Enjoy this life that you've been given. We have a lot to be grateful for, a lot to be thankful for, and I hope that you take the opportunity today, along with your family, to take a moment and just reflect on the independence that we have been gifted. There was men and women then and now that continue to lay it down, to sacrificially put aside their lives and their families, their agendas, and take that oath to don the uniform, and again to give us the freedoms and the liberty that we have today. You've heard it said before, and I'll say it, I'll echo it. Freedom is not free. So we should be grateful, but never take it for granted. And one of those things that we shouldn't take for granted is how awesome gaming is. Let me tell you, gaming is something that has been around more or less for about 50 years, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. And I got to thinking about this a couple of weeks ago when I recorded, I think, episode 77, if I'm not mistaken. And I shared with you just a couple of channels on the YouTube that do a phenomenal job, in my opinion, in reporting, in documenting, in just sharing video game history. And I'm not going to repeat those again. Maybe during this podcast I will, and maybe you might catch it, maybe not. But there's a lot of them out there that do a fantastic job. They put in the work, they put in the research. Some channels even have the actual hardware and software of those gaming years of yesterday. And I enjoy watching, hearing, learning about gaming history about as much as I do playing. And these days, we're having responsibility, having limited time, having other things that are, quite frankly, a priority in my life. Gaming has been set aside and not forgotten, not forsaken, but set aside. And that's just the reality of life, and some of you know what I'm talking about. When you're living with mom and dad and you have no responsibilities, you had that time. You had that time to play your RPGs and, put 80, 90, 100 hours into a game. Yeah, as a matter of fact, let's be honest, some of you knock it out in a couple of days, over a weekend. I remember renting games at Blockbuster. If some of you remember Blockbuster Video, Hollywood Video, and we would rent games. They would actually rent us games. And over the weekend, we can grab a title, put it in our preferred machine, console at that time, and literally get through a game in a weekend. And so, that's the way we rolled. And we had the time to do that. But now, for some of us older gray heads, some of us who have, entered into adulthood and, My hate. And this is just, again, my opinion. Adulthood doesn't really start until you are providing for and taking care of a little one. And I mean, they're precious. When those kids begin to be born, let me tell you, it changes your entire life. But that's when you know. That's when you suddenly realize and you go, oh snap. Yeah, this is about this child. It ain't about me no more. It ain't about anything else. It ain't about school. It ain't about gaming. It ain't about career. It's not about any of those things. But anyways, that's another podcast for another time. But I share that with you guys because I wanted to chat with you today about preserving gaming history and why is it important and why I've been thinking about this and quite honestly because I think that we probably don't give it no thought. At least let me rephrase that. Some of us might not give it any thought. Maybe those of us, and again, I'm theorizing here, so these are my opinions. I'm not trying to offend anyone, but maybe some of us who are of this gaming generation, we play our games and we're looking for the next hit. We're looking for the sequel to the game that we're playing. We're looking to jump off one game and jump onto another, and we got backlogs and all this other stuff. And we don't think possibly about gaming and its history. Where did gaming come from? How far have we come in such a short period of time? Just remember, if you can, and if you could reminisce with me, and if you can't, I mean, we have the wonders of the internet now, but there was a time where people could not afford a television. Not everybody had a TV in their home. Okay, and then sometime along that time frame came the computer, and that was another commodity. Not everyone had a computer. I mean, it's not like today where we carry computers in our pockets. We've said that before here. But just think about that. The things that you and I enjoy today, not only as tools, as instruments to allow us to game, and gaming we do, but we do so many other things with these devices. And so, I'm talking about you, PC. We do what we're doing now. We podcast. We pay our bills. We write term papers. We do so many things with our PC, and I'm almost sure that there's a computer, at least here in the United States. There's probably one computer per every household, at least. And I'm not saying that that's across the board, but it's very common, very accessible. Even if it's a low end computer, it's there, it's in the home. And so there was a time that there were no PCs in the home. The same thing with consoles. Consoles came through, and they weren't cheap, and gaming cartridges and were not cheap. We holler and jump up and down today about games being $70 a pop. I mean, that's just recently. But games back in the day, you would find games for $50, $60, $70. I remember one Christmas wanting Fantasy Star on the Sega Master System. That game was, I don't know if it was just because people were taking advantage of the holiday season. It was Christmas. But that game, my parents, I found out my parents paid $110 for that game to get it to me for Christmas. $110. I got Outrun at the same time. So I got Outrun and Fantasy Star. And later on, I was able to pick up a copy of Space Harrier. But each of those games were pricey. But my parents made it happen, and they weren't, millionaires. I was born in New York and raised in the Bronx. And I lived in New York City housing. And yeah, my father worked for New York City housing. We were not a rich family, okay? And so my gaming exposure was through the systems that I was able to own. Looking back now, man, I was fortunate. I was fortunate to have a Sega Master System, to go on and have a Sega Genesis, a Super Nintendo, and sharing with some of my friends, them having other systems. But what I'm trying to say with all of this is that gaming has come such a long way, and I would hate to not have that preserved. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that are doing amazing things, amazing jobs, not only putting documentaries together, but also creating spaces. I came across this video, which I'm going to show you here in a moment. Even as I speak to you, it is a YouTube channel. It's called Noclip. That's Noclip, Noclip, and they do video game documentaries. And I believe it was one of my members on my channel, Sleek, almost Sleek, who recommended them to me. So shout out to Sleek. I checked them out, and I came across this video today. I want to share it with you, so I'm gonna go over to our capture here, and I have the page up, and let's just let this play, and hopefully YouTube won't, take my video down because I'm sharing this with you. But this is from Noclip, and just listen to them. It's about a 6-minute video.
Hey, what's up? Danny here from Noclip, and I've got something special to show you.
This is a box full of tapes, and more tapes. Look at these boxes, just full of videotapes.
But what's even on these tapes? My porn collection?
Nope, even better. Thousands of
this.
hours of trailers, interviews, behind-the-scenes features, and gameplay capture from over a decade of video game history. Most of it lost to time, not currently on the internet, and only stored on the tapes in these boxes.
You want proof this isn't just porn? You got it.
Here's gameplay of an unreleased title showing previously unseen levels. Here's an interview with Hideo Kojima that was wiped from the internet 10 years ago. Here's a never-before-seen press preview for Knights of the Old Republic before the game was even announced. And here's the highest quality version of Microsoft's E3 2009
Remember
press
this clip
conference
right here. Look how crisp
ever
this
been
looks.
seen online. All those were from 2 random boxes I picked out of what is the largest collection of video game history that hasn't been digitized in the world.
Hey, welcome to Infinity Ward. Come on in.
All of this lost to time
Infinity
and
Ward,
destined
Call
to
of
never be
Duty.
seen again, because
Look at
most
those
of these
boxes,
tapes were
man.
days
Full
away
of
from being
tapes,
thrown
bro.
in a
And they were gonna
landfill
throw 'em in a
before
landfill.
Noclip stepped in. Since we saved that initial collection, we've been
E3
adding to it, creating what is now
2005,
likely
Destroy All
the largest
Humans,
collection of
Samurai
video game
Warriors on the
videotapes in the
360,
world, from
Capcom,
VHS to
B-roll.
Beta SP, DV, Mini DV, HD Cam, DVC Pro. I'd never even heard of that one before. I think there's a few DVDs in here too.
So why is all this video game history on tapes then?
Well, you see, before the internet was fast and YouTube existed, most video game reporting happened either on television or a select few tech and video game websites. And all of the assets for these games, they weren't distributed on hard drives, they were distributed via tapes. In fact, everything was done via tapes. Gameplay capture, trailers, commercials,
So everything was
E3,
compressed
B-roll,
and
interviews with
the
developers,
quality
documentaries, and more. Most of it
of
was
the
never
video,
broadcast
look at it.
anywhere. Some of it was shown on television and then never seen again. And while some of this stuff was uploaded to various video game websites, when it was done so, it was done to service an audience which had terribly low-speed internet, meaning that all of this stuff was horribly compressed in low resolution and using codecs that were terrible by today's standards. And you know this if you've ever YouTubed your favorite trailer from 2002, because it's a copy of a 360p video that required real player. To demonstrate this, here's a side-by-side of what YouTube serves you when you Google an infamous E3 meme compared against the 1080i source
So this
feed
is what they
recorded
got.
in the auditorium
This
that we
is
saved
crisp.
from being lost forever.
You ever wonder what the
That's
bottom
what
of
we
an
get on
Avatar shoe looks
YouTube.
like?
Compressed.
Well, bam! There it is.
Now look at what they got.
You ever wonder what the bottom of an Avatar shoe looks like? Well, bam! There it is.
Tragically,
dope.
the gaming websites that published a lot of this stuff over the years have either been shut down or changed their video robots over the years, meaning that thousands of these videos have been lost to time,
our game,
and we just never
Half-Life.
even noticed.
So Noclip is going to right that wrong. We're going to comb through all of these tapes and preserve anything with historical value. We're going to publish them on a brand new YouTube channel and also publish the raw versions of those same videos on archive.org.
So it's amazing.
To
They're
do this,
going to
we've had
take
to invest in
all
incredibly
these
expensive
tapes,
and
and
temperamental
look, they've invested in
broadcast
this
equipment.
machinery.
But the
and
work doesn't end
to-
there.
to
For instance, we
convert
have the
these
camera
tapes
tapes for the
over.
2007 Independent Game Festival Awards, which are no longer online. So to
Wow.
preserve that awards show, we're going to have to re-edit it with all of the raw tape feeds. We've also got plans to create new documentaries with old footage. For instance, we found a bunch of interviews with the Stalker developers in Kiev
Look at
from
these
before
guys
the
from
original
Ukraine.
game's release. So why don't we just edit that into a new documentary? There's a reason that this collection's various custodians over the years never threw them out, but there's also a reason why nobody ever digitized them either, because this is a massive project which is going to take a bunch of time and effort.
1990s.
But there is a ticking clock here. Analog media has a finite lifespan, and with every year that's passed, these tapes have gotten more and more
That's
damaged.
true.
They've degraded in quality.
They definitely
And that's
degrade.
still the case with every day they sit here in the Noclip studios.
While none of the collection seems to have been subject to mold or water damage, the quality on some of these tapes is already degrading. Tragically, some of the tapes do play but have too much damage. This tape of Nintendo assets from E3 1999, for instance. We'll never know what was on this tape. Quite frankly, we need your support. This job is going to take time and effort to log the videos, to see what materials are worth preserving, to edit, export, and publish, to make sure we have the right equipment that preserves as much quality as possible.
Every few years we do a big funding push for Noclip to help us keep the lights on, and in this case it's probably never been more important. This is a big project that's going to take us a long period of time, but if you think it's worthwhile, if you'd like to see what's on these goddamn videotapes, then please consider helping us out.
If you want to help us preserve over a decade of video game history that does not exist on the internet anymore, please consider becoming a patron. Our revised patron tiers have never made it easier, with access to loads of bonuses including patron-exclusive videos and podcasts, early access to documentaries, and plenty more. But don't worry, we're not putting any of these tapes behind any paywalls. If you want to check out a bunch of the videos that we've talked about here today, head over to youtube.com/@nocliparchive to check out our special YouTube versions. We're also uploading raw versions to archive.org.
color.
Go to tinyurl.com/nocliparchive to see our collection over there.
For almost 7 years, Noclip has worked to preserve the audiovisual history of our generation of games design, so that people 5, 10, or 50 years from now will be able to look back and see how and why the games we grew up playing were made. And we want to do the same for the stories that are locked away in these tapes. A lot of these tapes probably have stuff that's not that important on it. We've already seen that a lot of them have stuff that is pretty important, and I'm pretty sure in here somewhere there are some absolute golden nuggets that we will be just head over heels to share with you over the coming months and years. If you would like to see us take this big project on, if you want to see us see it through, then please head over to patreon.com/noclip and help our independent team. Thanks so much for watching this, and we'll see you soon.
So I'm going to pause it right there for a moment. And again, I hope I don't get striked or anything. And I hope that that was clear in us sharing. Let me be clear here, first and foremost. I am in no way affiliated with Noclip. I've never spoken to anyone there. I don't know anyone there. I'm sharing this with you guys in case you're interested. And I'm going to do my best to remember here to share this link to their Patreon, and check them out first. Go check out some of their videos that they've produced, Noclip documentaries, and check out the work they've already done. Why am I sharing this with you guys? Because I think it's important. Honestly, I think it's important that we as gamers, not only do we study gaming history, but also preserve it. And yeah, I mean, I was just thinking as I was watching this video for the second time, and I decided to then jump on the podcast and make this podcast episode about this. I was just thinking, I said, I have subscriptions to, I'm not gonna mention names, but I have subscription to other things that I don't really use. And on a monthly basis, because it's on auto pay, it's taken out of my account. It's like out of sight, out of mind. And do I go to those apps and to those providers and use them as often as I should to justify me paying on a monthly basis $10, $12, whatever it is? No, I don't. I'm thinking of one right off the top of my head right now. Only reason why I haven't got rid of it is because, my wife watches a couple of programs on it. There's a couple of series. Me, I don't care for it. And I'm not going to mention no names. But, for less than, and I'm going to sound like a commercial, I'm going to sound like I'm sponsoring or Noclip here. And again, I'm in no affiliation with them. No one reached out to me and vice versa. No one's paying me for this. I'm saying this out of my own accord. For less than what you are probably right now paying for your lunch, one lunch, okay, one meal, one lunch, on a weekly basis, you can support these guys. I mean, and if you want to go beyond that, I just went out to eat, to have some lunch, which is a rarity for me. Actually, it wasn't lunch. It was breakfast. Just for me alone to get a bacon, egg, and cheese on a bagel with a medium black coffee was like $9. Okay? That's nuts. But that's the world we live in now, right? That's the prices we pay now. We don't think of it. Really, we don't. We just, hey, we get it. That's what we want. We enjoy it, we consume it, and we keep it moving, right? So I'm telling you guys, if you're passionate about gaming and you want your gaming knowledge, your gaming experience to be more fruitful, to be more fulfilling, there's just something about knowing about the medium that you enjoy that just connects you more to it. I hope that makes sense, guys. I mean, so some of you are going to listen to this and go, I don't see what the big deal is. Like, I really don't care, this and that. Hey, that's cool. This is not for everybody. But for those of us, who are intrigued, who want to know, get that behind the scenes, behind the curtain sneak peek, understand the medium. And I'm not saying that we're going to go into the gaming, industry now and we need this information to somehow enjoy our gaming and be better gamers or whatever the deal is. No, this is just, it's to kind of fill you out, in your gaming. Like, since I've started watching gaming history channels, I've mentioned some here before, the Gaming Historian, Never Knows Best, just to mention two, and now Noclip. Man, I've been enriched as a gamer, going back to see documentaries on, how did, the crash of the video game industry occur. I'll be honest, I didn't even know there was a crash back in 1983. I didn't know that Nintendo designed their original NES to look like a VCR. They didn't want their system to look like a video game console because people had become, afraid, weary of games. And before the crash of 83, the industry had got so saturated with games and it was clones of games that, yeah, the whole industry crashed. And I was just like, wow, that's the reason why Nintendo made the NES look the way that it looks. It was a top loader, and for you guys who remember or have ever like played or owned an NES, you know what I'm talking about when you slide the cartridge in and then you had to press down and then you close the lid. It was the same thing as putting a VCR, a VHS tape in a VCR. Right? Or you just slid it in. The older models, it was like that ejectable cartridge, not cartridge, the carriage, where you would then slip the VHS tape in there, and once it was secure, then you would press it down and hit play. And some of you are listening to this and you're like, I have no clue what you're talking about, End Time, but just follow me on this. It's just really, really cool. Really, really cool. And I hope you can hear the excitement and the sincerity in my voice when I'm sharing this with you. Because, you know, I tell you guys a lot of times we've had our share here of in the past in certain episodes talking about, you know, what's wrong with gaming, what's wrong with the industry, you know, has some company lost its mind because now it's doing ABC, XYZ, and look at this game, how it came out, it sucks. And we've done that. Hopefully not as often as I want to even imagine, because we want to keep it drama free, of course. But you know, now with sharing this, I think this is a positive. I think this is something that not only will enrich your love for gaming, but who knows? It might give you a better appreciation. It might cause you to go down that path and become a developer, a designer, a producer, work on a team or pursue that dream. I mean, I wish now that I was much younger and would have maybe been more aware of how to become a designer, how to become a developer, how to get into the industry. I think it would have been great. It would have been fun. I think about a friend of mine that was a big PC guy in the days, you know, while my friends and I were running around, you know, arguing about which system was the best, whether Sega, Genesis, or the Nintendo, you know, entertainment system was the best, you know, while we were doing our quote console wars during that time, which really we wasn't warring because we had access to the NES, the Sega Genesis, so we were playing games on both systems. But that's beside the point now, right? This guy was just a big PC guy. And, you know, he would start talking to me the PC terminology. And for me, it was like Jay, shout out to Jay, Dark Dad, who I told I was going to be jumping on here by myself earlier. To quote Jay, it was like Charlie Brown. Waka, waka, wah, wah. My friend would start talking about PC stuff. Dude, I was just like, I didn't understand anything. And I didn't bother. I didn't care because I was young and all I wanted to do was just plug in a console, plug in my game and just play. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to deal with Windows and updating Windows and having to use a mouse and learning how to use a keyboard to play games and all this other stuff. And I was like, nah, dude, that's a hard pass. But he would rave about PC gaming. And here we are today. Here I am in front of my PC that is a monster of a rig. You know, and I do some PC gaming. I'm playing this Half-Life game on PC, enjoying it. I'm not the best PC gamer. I still got problems with mouse and keyboard. I'll confess, I usually plug in my controller, but for this game, I couldn't do it. But anyways, that's besides the point. I'm getting off track here. But yeah, to be a part of the preservation of gaming, to really give it its importance. It's really something, guys, that I think we should all be a part of, or at least as many of us be a part of. And Noclip Documentaries, again, is probably one of many that is actively doing this. I know this for sure. I came across another video on YouTube, and on the side over here, I'm gonna type it in and see if I can talk and type at the same time, and you'll probably hear my keyboard in the background. But I found this National Video Game Museum. Dudes, I had no clue that there was a museum out there, and this museum is out in Frisco, Texas. And so it's the National Video Game Museum, Frisco Discovery Center. And I'm hoping to pull up a video here. Well, actually, should I pull up this video? I should probably just tell you, but there's a bunch of videos out here. If you go and just type in the National Video Game Museum, just look it up. They had on one of the channels that I saw it on, Fox 4 News out in Dallas, Fort Worth, actually did like a report, and it was pretty cool. And they showed like the different like stations and setup inside of this museum. Dude, I just can't explain to you how awesome. And they actually have an actual, let me see, I'm scrolling and I'm talking to you, but they actually have a National Video Game Museum promo video. It's 7 minutes and 22 seconds. I'm gonna bring that up here, and let's see if we can get it rolling. All right, give me 1 second as I attempt to capture my other screen. And here we go, guys. Let's check this out.
It may be the most addictive toy in history, and it's definitely the hottest thing this Christmas.
It kind of started as a pack rat kid. Along comes this really cool medium, video games. This great on a cartridge sort of thing that I can not only play, but guess what? I think I can collect these too.
I started collecting games and probably as a kid, getting into the early 80s.
I was a video game player in the late 70s, just like my partners were, but it just snowballed from there. And at one point I had over 50,000 games in my garage.
It doesn't take long before all of a sudden you're trying to figure out how many of these things are there? What don't I have? Where's the list? And in the days of pre-internet, we kind of had to do it ourselves. So we started a newsletter called Digital Press.
We just all kind of met up and realized we had been doing the same thing all along individually, and that's kind of spawned the idea for doing a convention.
And that worked, and that was called Classic Gaming Expo, which we started in 1999. So we were doing industry events, we were bringing our collection around, and all of a sudden, we're a traveling museum, and we were a traveling museum for 17 years.
One of those shows, we met a gentleman named Randy Pitchford, who's the head of Gearbox Software.
That finally led us to Frisco, Texas, where we opened this place, and we now have such a place where anybody can come every day of the week.
You know, we were preserving video game history before it was history. So when we finally had the opportunity to bring it all together and put together this museum, it was, I'll tell you what, that was a big day.
We do a lot of good work behind the scenes. It's not all playing games. There's a lot of historical preservation work.
Having a permanent collection for everyone is a dream come true for us. We've all worried about how the industry is getting into this very digital era where tomorrow's generation and our kids and grandkids are not going to see this stuff anymore in stores. So we now have a permanent snapshot, if you will, in history for what video games were like.
Video games impact the lives of something like 58% of the people on the planet. Video games make more money than music and movies combined. It's a huge thing. So how do you not preserve something that's that big of a part of the culture of the planet?
When you deal with the physical, it's just important to show what was being used at the time, what was the media that was being used, and how cumbersome was it compared to what we do today.
On a day-to-day basis, casual people are getting their things digitally. You go online to get them. Video games are falling through that same process. It's inevitable, and I think we all knew that was coming. So what we really want to do here, and why this is so important to preserve, is so that you can see the physical nature of video games evolution.
Biggest issue is how do you protect these things, just from age. Even though we're digitizing that stuff, it's still important to have the original stuff nearby for people to do research.
This is Odyssey, the new electronic game simulator.
Have you played Atari today?
I'm going home to play my Intellivision.
Sorry, Atari.
The Nintendo Entertainment System. Your parents help you hook it up.
Genesis does.
What Nintendo?
Now you're playing with power, superpower.
National Video Game Museum 1.0 was built on the concept that we had a limited amount of space, we were new to this, and we wanted to put together the most compact, productive use of your time when you come to visit. So you were going to get the most out of your experience in a 10,000 square foot space.
We're not museum guys, and we're kind of glad we're not museum guys. We didn't want to build a stuffy, kind of boring museum. We wanted to build something that was fun and fitting to the subject of video games.
1.0 feels a little more sometimes like an attraction, but not as so much serious on the museum side. And 2.0 is going to bring that, a little more in line with what we feel it should be. So yeah, there'll be attraction type stuff that people will love, but on the academic side, there'll be research library where you can go through our archives.
We would have this really cool event space, for example, so we could run conventions here. We wanted to have, my favorite thing that we couldn't do here is we wanted to have a game library, but you'd be able to play pretty much any game that's ever been created.
So 2.0 is really important for us to make this ultimate nirvana, so to speak, of video games.
That's the type of thing that we want to do. We want to make the museum go from a 3 to 4 hour experience to a weekend experience where you could come and you wouldn't be able to do all the things that you wanted to do in the course of a weekend.
The biggest obstacle is getting the support of the industry. It's been real slow to come. And we've been doing this for years and years and years. And getting the industry to just take serious the notion or the fact that the preservation is important and to get behind that. Hopefully when 2.0 happens and our expansion plans happen, they'll be there to support it.
I think with their support, the sky's the limit. Just wait and see what we can do with a whole lot of support from the industry.
It's our job to really make sure that this stuff gets preserved properly for generations to come.
All right, guys. And so I'm leaving this up here for just a moment for you guys to check out. Again, I am not affiliated. No one's reached out. I've never reached out. I know no one at NVM, National Video Game Museum. But just a really, really, really cool resource and channel that I came across and became aware of this National Video Game Museum again in Frisco, Texas. So, this is on my bucket list. And hopefully I won't have to wait too much longer to get out there, to plan a trip out there and go visit and go hang out. Probably spend, I don't know, a week. I would have to plan a week to go out there just so that I could come back like every day and just focus or lock in on like one area, one section, and just take it all in. I definitely would be interested in not going back to just my childhood and the period of time where I played or was raised playing games, but also to discover those consoles and those games and all those other tidbits and all those other facts that I was not even aware of, and that definitely are important to the history of gaming. One thing I just want to say before I head out here, I'm going to keep it brief because I just want to keep it on a high note. There was a time for me personally that to be a gamer, it was okay. And then I grew up and started my family, and then I kind of hid that away. I didn't want anyone to know that I was a gamer because I felt like, gaming, and that was the stereotype then. And unfortunately, maybe not so much now, but, it's looked at as something that's childish. Let me tell you, gaming and that moniker of it being childish, that's far from the truth. Gaming has provided me countless hours of not only entertainment but also of an escape, just getting me to a place where I've been able to just set aside, you might say, the cares of life for a moment, not forget about them, not think, oh, they're just going to go away because I'm going to go into this other world now, this other medium, but just to get away and unplug and unwind. When I think about the different paths that life has available for us out here, some good, some not so good. I'm glad I fell into gaming. I'm glad that, gaming was and continues to be a part of my life. And I have no regrets, and I have no shame to say I'm a gamer. I love my games. There's so much more that I can say, but I'm going to leave it there for you guys. And we'll get back. We'll get back to this. We'll chat some more. If you guys like this content, if you like this episode, this was totally unscripted. It was just something I had on my heart. And these videos I shared, again, Noclip. Go check them out. Go support them if you can. Again, I'm not sponsored by any of them. And now National Video Game Museum. Go check them out further still and find out about gaming history. All right, guys, this is End Time. I appreciate you being here and hanging out. Leave some comments. Leave a thumbs up, of course. It helps us out. If you like this video and this content and you want to see more of this type of content, then consider subscribing. Let us know. I would love to continue down this path of just, not only becoming aware and becoming, you might say, a student of video game history, but also sharing it with you guys and chatting about it. It would be great. It would be amazing. I think we would have a good time. Anyways, I will catch you on the next one. Be good, stay safe, and as always, keep your gaming and your life drama-free. Later, people.